to the Festival
of Storytellers.
I can't tell you how excited I am to be on right now. It's been a couple of weeks of excitement, getting prepared, and I've done a lot of things in my life, but this has got to be close to the top.
Thank you, Reader's Magnet, and thank you, John, for putting this forth and taking the chance on us authors in presenting this out to the world.
I've enjoyed this immensely, Joanne.
Ellie, so have I. Thank you for who you are, and thank you, Reader's Magnet. You all are beautiful, and you've worked so very hard, and we are blessed.
We are.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process, because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers. We thank Reader's Magnet and everybody that's involved. I love Reader's Magnet. They say, we share your stories with the world.
Hello, my name is Kathy BINDER, and I am the author of The Half Vampire Twins Gothic. It's my first book out of a series of 4 books. The other 3 books are called Ascension, The Covenant, and The Cure. I'm currently working on book number 2, Ascension. Hopefully that will be out and published in the summer of 2022, so next year. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how I got started with writing. When I was about 9 years old, I started writing short stories. And then in middle school, I started continuing with short stories and entering short stories into writing contests. And then in middle school, I also wanted to write a vampire novel or a book a long time ago in middle school. And then my senior year, I took creative writing class, and then I started writing poetry. So within my book, I have some song lyrics that I wrote. That class really helped with poetry. So I've got 2 songs that I wrote within this book. The book cover is actually I've got a character sheet description of my characters. So this is actually what my characters look like from my character sheet. My son is actually the inspiration that had me finish my story. I actually started my story when my son was 2 years old. And then with a full-time job and my son as being a toddler, it was like 2 full-time jobs. So I put my book away and I left it, kind of forgot about it. My son then 10 years later, he was 12 and asked if I was ever going to finish the story. So then I did finish the story, and then in the front of the book, I've got, for my son Johnny, whose encouragement helped me to finish the story, right in the front there. So I dedicated the book to my son. I've also wrote an outline for my book. So I started out with a character sheet, and then I went to an outline, and then my outline, I actually added more things to my outline. And then I would write about 15 to 20 pages per day to get my book done. And normally I'm not too much of a winter person, so I am inside writing a lot during the winter time. So hopefully book 2 will be out next year. And then my inspiration actually came from when I was watching and reading Stephenie Meyer's Twilight series. She inspired me. I think everybody needs an author or somebody that inspires you to write, and she was the author that inspired me to write my own unique vampire series. So I like to thank Stephanie Meyer for being such a great author that inspired me. And then I did have somebody with the last session. I never got to the question because I cut my last session off. It was only 30 minutes long, so I missed the question. So I was going to answer the question this time around. The question was, if you had a superpower, what would that superpower be and why? And I would like the superpower to see into the future. And that superpower to see into the future, let's see. Let's see, if you had to do something differently as a child. Okay, if you had something to do differently as a child or teenager to become a better writer as an adult, what would you do? Okay, so with me, my library had a writers group, and I joined the writers group. I didn't know how to write a character sheet or an outline, so I joined a writers group, or even if you have even a book club in the library there. A lot of your English classes, I took creative writing in high school. That helped me to become a better writer. So a lot of your English classes will really help you out with being a better writer there when you're younger. And then in an adult, there are writers clubs, like I said, writers groups in libraries and that, if you can find a writers group or club to join. Now, with getting back to the superpower here. So with the superpower that I would pick would be to see into the future. And I picked the superpower to see into the future because I was like, if I could see into the future, maybe I could stop or prevent the start of the coronavirus pandemic being started, or to see in the future, the September 11th incident that happened, or to see in the future if there was natural disasters, hurricane, your tornado, earthquakes, be able to warn people and get them to safety. I guess to save lives. If I could see in the future, how many lives could I actually save if I had that superpower? So that would be the superpower I would pick. And then I would like to talk about a lot of I never really mentioned about what I do for work. Writing right now is just a hobby for me until it takes off. But right now, all I do is writing as a hobby. And then my real job is I work for a clinic, and I actually work in the claims department, and I'm a government claims specialist level 2. And what that is I process government claims. It's an insurance company, I process claims. It's your state of Wisconsin Medicaid, your family health center, and your Medicare supplement plan. So all your government plans that's the claims that I process. If you're not sure what insurance claims are, it would be you go to the doctor and you have an office visit or a lab or x-ray. They submit the claim to your insurance company, which would be they would submit to me as your insurance company. And then I would process that claim. Either it would go to deductible co-insurance copay, or it would end up being paid in full, or it would be denied. So I would process those claims. And then that's what you see in the mail, like a statement from your insurance company, what they paid and what they didn't pay. So that's a claims processor. And I really like that job. I've been with that job for 8 years. And I have been working remote from home probably about 6 out of the 8 years there, working remotely from home. So, and I really like it there. And then I do a lot of community service projects. I'm really big in the 4-H. I was in 4-H when I was younger, and now my son is in 4-H. And I do a lot of his community service projects, volunteering, donations. I help out with that. We do the Marshfield Area Pet Shelter. Marshfield Area Pet Shelter is pretty much, they have cats that they shelter, and we would go to Walmart for 4-H, and then we would look for supplies that they would need, and then we would drop it off at MAPS, and that would be our donation for 4-H. We also do Adopt the Highway, where we clean up a section of the highway for our 4-H club. And then we do school supplies for kids who can't afford school supplies. We do a school supply drive. We'll fill up like a book bag with notebooks, folders, pens, pencils, and whatever they need for school supplies and drop it off at the school. And then currently we are doing Rotary Winter Wonderland, and that's a food drive. Rotary Winter Wonderland, we have, and that's actually in Marshfield. We put lights up in the park, and then it goes into the zoo. And then you set your radio station to a certain station, and then the lights will move with whatever song is on that radio station. And you can drive through or you can walk through. And then we would collect either money donations or food for the food drive. Let's see, I've got a question here. How old were you when you start doing community service? I started, I guess I would say I started when I was in high school, actually. I was in FFA, Future Farmers of America, but I think they call it something else now. But when I was in FFA, we actually did Adopt the Highway. We did do food drives too. And that's when I started, but I didn't get more into community service projects until I joined my son's 4-H club, which is very active in community service projects there. So I actually started younger in high school, and then I continued as an adult when my son started 4-H there. So really active in clubs, like even some of your other clubs in high school may do donation or community service projects too. So high school and then as an adult there. So I started pretty young. And then currently I do the Marshfield United Way. And I do what is called nutrition on weekends. And that's what I did today. I was gone. I went shopping. I went all over the Aldi's, and I grab a whole bunch of food that can be used for their school food program. The Nutrition on Weekends, it's a program for kids who do not have, where the parents can't afford enough food to feed their kids on the weekend. Sometimes when kids go to school, the only meal they get is their lunch. That's like one meal a day. So on the weekend before they leave on Friday, we will pack peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, fruit snacks, bananas, and any healthy food, vegetables. That gets packed, and then there's enough food for Saturday and Sunday for the weekend, and that's why they call it Nutrition on Weekends. It's food that we pack for them to take home on Friday when they leave for the weekend. And we have about 500 and some kids, and it's not just our school district, but it's the surrounding smaller schools too. That's all included in that. And I'll go to all these, I'll get like peanut butter and jelly, granola bars, fruit snacks, fruits and vegetables, bread. So I do quite a bit there. And then the other drive I did today too. What's your favorite underappreciated novel? Underappreciated novel. I don't know if I really have a favorite unappreciated novel there. So I don't think I can really answer that question, I guess. I'm sorry, I can't answer that question. I don't really have an underappreciated novel that I can think of off the top of my head. Because a lot of novels that I read, I like all of them. And it's mainly, the novels I read is all vampire related. So they're all vampire related novels that's why I got so into vampires and that. It's just reading vampire novels. So I can't really think of one, because I like all the books that I've read. So I can't think of one that I would say that's underappreciated there for novels there. And then the other thing I did today too, for Marshall United Way, they have what is called a home delivery meals for people that can't leave their home. And because COVID has really hit pretty much the whole world, these elderly that have this home delivery meals, their loved ones can't visit them during the holidays. So to kind of cheer them up and give them a gift, we do a gift drive, just little tiny things like Christmas tree ornaments, maybe a little candle, little tiny knickknacks. And then I will be delivering that with Nutrition on Weekends food drive on Black Friday. On Friday, I'll drop that all off because I have off that day, so I can drop it all off there at Marshall Dairy United Way for both of those there. What do you owe the real people? What do you owe the real people upon whom you base your characters? Real people upon whom you base your characters. Do you owe the real upon whom you base your characters? Well, the characters that I have in my book are all made up. The names are made up. If there's anybody who has the same name, I don't know, because I've only made up all the characters there. Kyra is one of the characters. I had a favorite Barbie doll, so I named her Kyra because my favorite Barbie doll. Kyle just kind of ran with Kyra and Kyle. Let's see. And then other names I just randomly grabbed in the book there. So I don't really have a real people, unless you're talking about if it would ever be turned into a movie. I just based off of movies that I've watched, what characters they would be best playing if it was ever turned into a movie. I don't know if I ever would, but all of the people I've based for characters, for names, they're all made up. There's no significant name for each character. I just think of a name that sounds good, and then I just give them that name. There's no real people that it's actually based off of for my characters. Everything's made up. So I don't have any real people that they're based on for characters. Unless you're looking at like a movie. Then movies I've watched, I think they would be best for that character if they would play that. But I don't have very many young actors and actresses that I've watched movies, so I haven't been able to pick out like a high school age actors and actresses there. So other community service projects I've got the Pediatric Angel Tree. It's another one that I do for community service. That one that's when I actually went out today, grabbed a few presents. I grabbed like a family of about 4, and then I buy presents for, and I'll be dropping that off on Friday too after my podcast session there. And then another big one that I do is our bank does Children's Miracle Network. And in February, they do what is called a Beanie Baby drive there. And I go inside the bank and I select so many Beanie Babies, and then that goes towards the Children's Miracle Network. So I do help out the Children's Miracle Network too, and that's only in February there. And then somebody asked about the last session about where you can volunteer and donate. And I actually have hospitals and clinics you can volunteer at. There's United Way, Salvation Army, American Red Cross. I've donated and helped volunteer with Salvation Army, American Red Cross, and United Way. Any of the United Ways, I just do my local one, Marshfield area, United Way. And then you can also go to the City Hall and find out where you can volunteer and do any kind of donation drives there. So that's another place you can find out for community service. Somebody had asked that last time, where they can go for community service and volunteering. And then with my book, The Half Vampire Twins, I have action, comedy, and romance. So it's all three. I'm trying to grab the older teenagers and then the adults, both male and female audience there. So I've brought in action, comedy, and romance in there. The comedy, I have anatomy and physiology. The science part is the comedy. Action, two-man cruisers. It's a race car race. And then romance is prom at the end. What are the most important magazines for writers to subscribe to? The most important magazines for writers to subscribe to. That one I wouldn't know. I don't subscribe to any magazines, so I'm not quite sure what magazines to subscribe to. But I think there are some I've seen, just like I think it's called like Writer's Digest. I think you can subscribe to. I don't know about any other writing ones. I think the only one I've pretty much seen and I've heard of is Writer's Digest that you can probably subscribe to. That would probably help you out. But I don't really subscribe to any magazines. And then to actually find my publisher for Book Baby is actually my publisher. When I wrote my book, it actually took me a year to find a publisher. I was kind of hesitant because so many people can steal your work. And I didn't want my work stolen, so I didn't want to send it to a publishing company and it wasn't a legit publishing company, and then I lose my work. So it took me a year to kind of find out what publishing company I wanted to go through. Well, when we had the Marshfield area, or the Marshfield Maple Fall Fest, there was a writer there, and she wrote 5 books to her post series. Rachel M. Martins, I believe her name is. And I had asked her about a lot of questions about what publishing company she went through. And she went through Book Baby. I liked the cover of her books, and I liked the content, how everything was done up. And so I decided to go through Book Baby then as my publishing company. She trusted them, and I do too. What is the most unethical practice in the publishing industry? Unethical practice in the publishing industry. That I really wouldn't know of any unethical practice in the publishing industry. I'm a new author. This is my first book. So I haven't been out there long enough to really know about the unethical parts of a publishing company. So sorry, I really can't answer that question because I haven't been out there long enough to really know. So sorry about that. And then within my book, I do have a mysterious character in there, Trent, which you'll find out more about in book 2, but just to spark an interest, I do have quite the clincher at the end where it makes you want to read book number 2 where I left off. I do have people that like different sections of the book. Some people like the anatomy and physiology. They like the science part. Some people like that they're musically talented. I've got 2 songs that I wrote the song lyrics in this book. So they like the music part. I have somebody else that likes the 2-man cruisers because of the race. And of course the prom and the romance part in the end there. So where's your favorite place to write, or if you have one? I actually write at home, but then when my son was younger, the Everett Rail Marshfield Public Library has like school programs or programs after school that kids can participate in. So then downstairs is the downstairs part of the library is for the kids, and then the upstairs is for like the older teenagers and adults. And it has a nice little fireplace upstairs too. So I would let my son go to his activity down there, and then I would go upstairs with my laptop and sit by the fireplace and write. So I actually wrote, half of this book was written at home, and the other half I grabbed my laptop computer and I wrote the other half at the Everett Rail Marshall Public Library. So half of it was written at the library. So it's wherever there's a nice quiet place. And sometimes you need to change your location to kind of get some inspiration or spark there. So sometimes just sitting at home, if you can't think of what to write, sometimes it's just going to another quiet location. There's even some of your coffee shops where you can sit down, have yourself a coffee, or donut shops where there's an area where you can sit and just relax and write. I know Barnes & Noble, they have a little coffee shop too where you can just sit down, have a coffee, and read or write. So there's some nice quiet places, but I would pick a quiet place where you can sit down and concentrate and write. So that would be my favorite so far, is pretty much the library and at home. We don't have too many coffee places that have a place where you can really sit down and write, but I wish we had like a Barnes & Noble or something close by where I could just go to and sit down and write and have a coffee or something. But so it's been home and the library are my quiet places for writing there. And for action in the book, some people have asked, what is a two-man cruiser? Well, a two-man cruiser is actually the driver has the steering wheel, and then they have the brake. And then the passenger that's next to you has the gas pedal. And you have to work together. And when I was younger, I always wanted to drive a two-man cruiser. They're just kind of fun to watch. You go around the racetrack, and if you get a caution flag, you have to turn your car around and go the other way. So it's just kind of interesting. And then I like classic cars. So in my book, I've got, like in the 1970s, your Camaro and a Mustang. I thought those two cars would be interesting to have them compete together for racing there. So a Camaro and a Mustang, and they're two-man cruisers. So I just thought it would be an interesting thing to throw in the book there. And then, of course, romance at the end, prom, and then I leave off, and then book number 2, Ascension. I started writing that when I've got the outline and everything, and started writing first chapter. And then tomorrow, when I do my live chat, I thought that it'd be nice to read a little bit of the first chapter. So if you want to hear a little bit of my first chapter, I will read a little bit of that tomorrow during my 1-hour live session. And that is Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time there. So 6 to 7, and I'll read a little bit of the first chapter of my book there. And then I do have a podcast. That is on Friday, November 26th, and that is at 1:30. And that's only like 10 minutes Eastern Standard Time. So I'll have a podcast. I know that's after the Festival of Storytellers Session 2, but I was told that they can still post my podcast onto my my booth even after the festival has ended there. So that's the start of my book series there. I do have other books that I wrote. I've got 2 children's books that I wrote that I'm thinking about getting published later on. I've got Telesia, which is for younger kids, and then Lost Soul, and that is more for middle school kids. And then I do have a lot of poetry that I may throw into a poetry book. I also have a children's book that I wrote but I need an illustrator for that. I cannot illustrate. And that's why there's a hold on the other 2 books that I wrote too, because I cannot illustrate. I can draw stick people, but not very good at illustrating at all. So I need somebody to illustrate. So if anybody knows any good illustrators there. My children's book that I wrote is Johnny and the Monster Under the Bed. And that's to just help kids not to be scared of a monster under the bed there. So that's what that book's pretty much about for children. And then let's see what else I've got here. So the characters, again, on the book, I don't know where Book Baby came up with them. I'm assuming they're probably models, but they are description of the characters that I have on my character sheet. So, and then some other characters I've got in here is Trent. So both vampires are musically talented. Kyra, she starts a band in high school with a couple of her friends. She plays the guitar, electric guitar, and the piano. And then she's got 2 friends, Tessa and Crystal, that play the electric guitar and the drums. And then Kyle, he plays electric guitar. He's got a couple friends also. Johnny plays the drums. Trent plays electric guitar. And the group is actually just the Kyra and her 2 friends. But everybody meets within a band class together. And in my band class, electric guitars are allowed in band class there. I know a lot of schools, they don't have electric guitars, but I've got electric guitars in band class. And then anatomy and physiology, my son read the funny part when he said, well, Mom, I don't want to read your book until you have it published, and then I get the first signed copy. So I said, okay. So I wrote the book, I sent it out, got it published, and I signed the first copy, gave it to my son. He starts reading it on the couch, and all of a sudden he starts laughing. And I'm like, okay, so you got the anatomy and physiology part there. And the funny part is Johnny, that is in the book, is a comedian. He's funny, kind of like your class clown. And my son is the same way too. And his name is Johnny too. It just happens to be a coincidence that they're both kind of class clowns there. But he's pretty funny too. My son, he's active in drama club. He just got done with, I don't know if anybody has watched the movie Clue with Tim Curry in. And there's like 3 different endings for Clue. And so they did Clue on stage for drama club. And since this is his first year in drama in high school, he doesn't have a speaking part. He was one of the FBI agents that runs on the stage afterwards to arrest the bad person. And then the springtime, they have what is called it's a musical that they have, and they're doing the musical, The Little Shop of Horrors, which I believe it's a plant that you feed the blood to. And it's an alien plant, I guess. And I guess it's kind of a comedy there yet, too. And he's trying out for a part with Little Shop of Horrors there. And that will be in the springtime. So he stays pretty active there. So within the book, see if I can think of anything else there. And what makes the book unique than other books? I haven't really, and I've read a lot of books and I've watched a lot of vampire movies, but I haven't seen very many books or even movies out there that's got vampire twins. They're half-blooded vampire twins, so they're half human, half vampire. Musically talented. I don't see that I don't think I've ever seen anything out there that's musically talented. So I try to write something unique, different, not really out there. I've got, like I said, comedy, action, romance in there. And I think, unique and different than other books. And then, of course, Gothic. I've been into Gothic since I was in, I guess you can say when I started in middle school, I was all into Gothic and everything. So that just kind of flows with my books too. When I get done with this series, I'm hoping to do, I don't know if I'm going to do another series, but at least one book. My sister's into werewolves. So I told her I will write a book, and I will write one that's got vampires, werewolves, angels, and gargoyles. So it's going to be a mixture of 4 different creatures within that book. If you can tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be? Okay, so I was younger, I probably would have told myself to continue writing and not stop. I started writing really young, and I didn't really have any support behind me at all. My parents were into me writing at all. I didn't really have very many friends, so I had nobody really backing me up. Other than my son is about it. I had Stephanie Meyer inspired me to write. She was a young author, and she inspired me. So the inspiration started there, and then my son was the only one that backed me up. And even as young as he was, that little voice inspired me to continue with writing there. But I wish that my parents would have supported me when I was younger. I wished I would have continued writing. That would have been nice if I could have continued writing and then actually published some of the books that I wrote when I was younger, which I'm thinking about doing now that I'm older, getting them published yet. I say you're never too old to publish or go for your goal in life there. And that was one of my goals. When I was 11 years old, somebody had asked me, what do you want to do when you get older? And I was 11. And I said, well, the first thing was an actress. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be in a play and be an actress. My second one was to be a singer. And I sing a little bit, but it's karaoke. I sing other people's songs, karaoke. And the third one was to be a writer. So it was actress, singer, and a writer. So the writer was still up there. But I wished I would have continued writing when I was younger, but it would have been nice to have support from my parents to say, go for it. I think that was the biggest thing is wish I would have continued writing when I was younger yet. But it's nice to, even if it's as an adult, to start now. Nice to get something out there. What period of life do you find you write about most often? Period of life do you find you write about most often? Okay, so period of life that I find out. Okay, what period of life do you find you write about most often? Period of life. I don't know if I really have a period of life that I write about most often. With me, I think it's my adulthood right now. Writing my vampire novels, I think, is where I'm writing a lot more often now than what I did when I was younger. When I was younger, I didn't write quite as much when I was younger. I did write some short stories, but this is actually my novel series. This is the first series that I'm writing, and it's actually the first thick book. I'm used to short stories. This is the actual first novel that I've ever written. I've never written a novel before. It's my very first one. So I am really impressed that I was able to write my very first novel. I wasn't sure if I could do it or not because of just having knowledge of short stories and poetry, and that was about it. Something short, never anything really long. And to actually do a series of novels, and because at first I thought just one book. And then I thought, well, I didn't want to put 4 books and make a really, really thick book to read. I always like reading shorter novels, shorter books, and I like large print. So in my book, you'll see large print. I like the larger print. And then I wanted a decent size. I know some people like hard books, but they get a little costly with hard books. So I always go with the softer books there. But 4 books into one would have been a pretty thick book. So I thought 4 short novels in the series would be nice to do. So then with that, let me see what else I can talk about here. And then within, if you read the back of the book, okay, so Kyra and her brother Kyle are half vampire twins. They live with their mother in Omaha, Wisconsin. When they were younger, they were homeschooled and started to find out that they were different. They have vampire powers. Well, the place where they live in Omaha, Wisconsin is actually, I kind of add vowels to different towns and cities. I wasn't sure if I was okay to use physical locations within my book. So I would throw like some vowels in there. Like I'm actually originally from Toma, Wisconsin, but I put an A at the end. So it's Omaha, Wisconsin. So you'll see a lot of towns in here, just some vowels thrown in there to make them sound like different locations. But it actually would take place in my old hometown of Toma. I just call it Tomaha in here in the book there. So, trying to think. So like I said, they're musically talented vampires. Trent is mysterious one. I do have, like I said, it's comedy, action, romance. And let me see what else I can talk about with the book here. I do have couple of song lyrics in here. I can read one of the songs in here. My son has a preference between the two. I've got Through Your Eyes and Gotta Be Strong. They're 2 of my first song lyrics that I ever wrote there. My son likes the Gotta Be Strong, so I will read that one to you, my song lyric or poem there from my book there. I saw you for the first time. My heart beats fast for you. We started talking for our first time. That is when we first knew. Please, you gotta be strong. You gotta move on. Please, you gotta be strong because you're the one. Please hold me. Can you hear my heartbeat when we first meet? Please believe me when I tell you it's just you and me. Let's live for the moment, at least for today. I know we are different, and that's all right with me. I came over one day just to tell you what I had to say, because I know in our hearts that we were meant to be. Please, you gotta be strong. You gotta move on. Please, you gotta be strong because you're the one. Please hold me. Can you hear my heartbeat when we first meet? Please believe me when I tell you it's just you and me. So that is my son's favorite song lyric in my book there. And I've got 2 of them in here. So, and then somebody had asked, and I get that quite a bit when I do book signings, they're like, what characters, if you would actually turn your book into a movie? And I'm like, because they look like actual movie characters on the cover of my book. And I said, I have no idea where Book Baby got I'm thinking they're just models on the front of the book there. I said, I have no idea. I said, I just give them the character sheet and say, this is what I'd like on the cover of my book for descriptions of my characters. And that's what they came up with. I think they did a good job with the characters there. But then I get the question, if you would ever turn your book into a movie, if it would ever go into like a short little mini series or something, the movie, what characters would you have play? And I've got older characters. I don't have very many for younger characters in high school. I don't think I watch enough movies where there's younger actors and actresses. So if anybody has suggestions for like 17, 18-year-old age there, what I have for the mother is I've never acted before, but it'd be nice if I would play the mother. The mother's name is Kira. If I wasn't able to play the mother, then I would say Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale, if you're not familiar with her as an actress, she is in the Underworld movie series. I liked all Underworld. I think I own all the movies there. But I really like her in Underworld for Kate Beckinsale. I believe she also played in Van Helsing too. And then for the father, okay, so what was an early experience where you learned that language had power? What was an early experience where you learned that language had power? I guess with that question there, what was an early experience when you learned that language had power? I would say it was when I took my creative writing class in high school. I noticed that poetry, it seems like poetry has a lot of power in there with the words and phrases and how to use it in poems. An example, I've got a guy in school, he wrote a speech about trumpeter swans. And I listened to his speech and I turned his speech into a poem. Exact same speech, but in a poem form. And I actually entered that into poetry contests, and I actually did get published, called The Trumpeter Swan. So I think at that age in high school, during my creative writing poetry class, that's when I thought that that language had quite the power. I find that poetry has, I think, almost the strongest power out there is poetry. Just like a lot of us listen to songs, if you actually cut out the music and actually read and listen to the song lyrics, the actual lyrics, everyone picks a song that means a lot. Example for me, I'm a big Bon Jovi fan, but out of all of his songs, It's My Life is the one song that inspired me. And it's not just the music, it's the actual words in his song. It's My Life, it's now or never, pretty much take that chance, and that song lyrics right there just inspired me. It was telling me, take a chance, start writing your book, you aren't going to live forever, do something you enjoy doing. And this is one of the things on my bucket list, was to write my very first vampire novel. I've wanted to write one since I was in middle school in 8th grade. So many years, I know it's many years later, but I've still accomplished my goal, and that was on my bucket list. So just being inspired by a singer's song there, a musician's song there, it just, that's where I think language is quite inspiring. I think it's your poetry and your song lyrics that that really inspire people to get out there and do things there, by whatever song you're listening to. And then again, to continue on with movies there. So the father is Adrian. And for Adrian, I had thought of Luke Evans. Luke Evans, I believe he played like Dracula. I believe it was in Untold. I thought he played a very good role in that. Kyle, I couldn't think of anybody young at age 17, 18. So I'm like, if we had a younger version, I was thinking Theo James. He played in the Divergent series. He was also in Underworld, The Awakening, and The Blood Wars. And I'm a big Underworld fan of the movie series there. But I liked him in The Awakening, and I liked him a lot in The Blood Wars there. So if he was younger, he would play a good Kyle as a character there. And then Kyra, I was thinking Olivia Rodrigo. She's one of my favorite new young singers out there. My favorite song that she sings is Traitor. So she would be one. I believe she does have some kind of mini series out there. I can't remember what movie series is that she's in, but she has done some acting there as an actress. And then Johnny, I was thinking, my son is a comedian. I said Johnny could play Johnny because he's a comedian too. And then for Trent, I was thinking I'm a big fan of this actor here. And I would say if he was much younger, because Trent would be in high school too, but I'm a big fan of Alexander Skarsgård, if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I believe he's a Swedish actor. I have followed him since True Blood. I think he plays pretty good as a good vampire, bad vampire, and then he's also mysterious. So I was like, well, Trent is mysterious in my book too. So he would be an interesting actor if he was younger, though. So I do know I have to find younger actors and actresses for some of these high school parts there. But I mean, if not, he could be probably in one of my other books when I come up with the Pure Bloods. He could probably play with his age. He could be one of the Pure Blood vampires when I get further into my book series there. But somebody had asked what characters would you want, or what actor and actresses would you want to play your characters if it actually went into a movie. So that was my suggestion there. And then getting into my car scene in the middle of my book there, with the two-man cruisers there. When I was in college, I actually watched, a little blurry here. See if I can focus in a bit. Don't know what happened to my webcam. Sorry about that. It just doesn't want to focus. See if it focuses on my book a bit. There we go. We have it working now. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just became unfocused there. Oh yeah, the earrings that I'm wearing and the necklace that I have on. Actually, a lady that bought one of my books, she decided to make an earring and necklace set. So I told her I would wear it because I said it looks Gothic looking. So I said I really liked it. So she bought a book and I bought some jewelry from her. They're stainless steel because I'm allergic to nickel. I can't have anything nickel plated in that. So they're stainless steel. So I'll have to go to certain jewelry stores to actually purchase jewelry. Yes, I love your jewelry. Thank you very much. And she's actually local. It's actually stainless steel, and she does sterling silver with no nickel in. More and more places is coming out with no nickel. I see Target's got no nickel. Not sure about Walmart. I used to go to Claire's, but I can't go to Claire's in the mall anymore. I found out that, yeah, it says sterling silver, but then I kept scratching my ear and I couldn't figure out why am I scratching my ear. Even though Claire says their jewelry is sterling silver, there still is a trace of nickel in it. So there's actually nickel in sterling silver when you go to Claire's there. And I'm like, so I can't wear any of the jewelry that I bought at Claire's. So I know I can't go there for jewelry. And then how I found out about my jewelry or allergic to the jewelry is I used to, when I used to wear glasses, I used to get a rash on the bottom of my cheek there. And then I found out that I got a allergic reaction to nickel there. Okay, so we are getting close to closing here. So I like to just mention that my last live chat is tomorrow, 6 to 7 Eastern Standard Time. That live chat, I'll read a little bit of my first chapter, give you a little taste of my book. And then also to let you know that paperback books and ebooks are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, Kobo, Scribd, Baker & Taylor, Copia, Gardeners, Essential, Ciendo, Versa, Overdrive, Playster, and Hoopla. And then my publishing company, BookBaby, has just made it available in the bookshop. It is store.bookbaby.com. Again, that's available through the BookBaby, the bookshop, at store.bookbaby.com. So now my book is available through the publishing company. So that's pretty nice. So I would just like to close and thank everyone for watching. And thank you very much to Reader's Magnet for having me today and for the 2 weeks of the Festival of the Storytellers season number 2. It's my first time, new author. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Reader's Magnet.